He's a singer, and he's a man that can shake, rattle, and roll. And he takes us down memory lane week after week with Where Are They Now? And the Song of the Week. To finish the show, it's our pop encyclopedia, Shane.
The one and only Shane.
Good to see you,
Hales.
Geraldo.
Another week and you've got your long johns on, I hear.
No, I haven't. No. I've still got the bikini bottoms I had on last week. You know, I got G-string of the week.
What a great Friday night it was last Friday night with the Rocking the Planet with the Brendan Ham Band. I'm waiting for you to tell me all about it.
They are the top
It was
band.
wonderful.
I mean, they take the cake. I mean, they were
enjoyed it.
brilliant, and they're just growing and growing and growing in stature. You know, the music ability and everything else. I've got to say thanks, Brendan, for being there and doing such a good job.
Now that all pales into insignificance.
It
of
really
course.
does.
Everything does. When we think of the subject called
The Song of the Week, and we've got a beauty. Now, look, I've just told you, Shane and the Shads are going on a cruise. We're going on a cruise next year for P&O, and we got the confirmation, so we're ready to go.
That
so
is
I thought,
wonderful news.
Yes, wonderful
How do I
news.
get on this cruise?
Well, easy, you pay. You buy a ticket. But anyone out there, if you want to buy a ticket, get on the show. Yeah, it'll be fun, and we're going to be rocking the boat, not rocking the planet.
Rocking the boat.
Rocking the boat, and we've got 10 days out around the Pacific and Noumea and so on. So
Wonderful.
I thought, what a better idea than to celebrate with a song called "Sea Cruise" by Frankie Ford.
Wow.
That's our song of the week. Now we've got a fantastic video of it, and I thought, and it's a very interesting story.
Is it?
Yes, it is, Gerard. It's very interesting. Now, a guy called Huey Piano Smith, he arranged it, he wrote it, and he sang on it, and his band, The Clowns, played on it. And he wrote the song, but what happens is a terrible, disastrous story for him.
Oh, is it?
He was a boogie-woogie piano player, boogie-woogie piano player from New Orleans, and he played in all the clubs around there, resident, and he'd already had several hits himself, and he wrote that song, one that we all know, Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu. And Johnny Rivers had a hit with it many years later. But he wrote that, and he had a million-selling record with that song himself, this Huey Piano Smith. And but then he turns around and he writes a masterpiece. And that's our song of the week, Sea Cruise.
Which has been sung by every artist in the world.
Well, everybody knows. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. It's one of the most recognisable pieces of music in the world. And look, the guy, Frankie Ford, that actually ended up recording it, he's got it on his number plate, ooh-wee, baby. That's his number plate. And he lives in Louisiana, in Mississippi there, where they all came from, New Orleans district. But anyway, Huey, he's had several hits, a million seller with Rockin' Pneumonia, Boogie Woogie Flu, and he comes up with this masterpiece, Sea Cruise, and then he sits back and he says, right, and he makes the record and everything, and he's recorded it for Ace Records. Now, Ace Records, big company, and all his hits were on that record label. And unfortunate for him, he goes away on tour for 2 weeks with his band, The Clowns, and off they go. And they've just finished Sea Cruise. It's in the can, the vocals, the backing, everything. But the guy called John Vincent, the head of Ace Records, he's got better ideas. He thinks he's so determined to get Frankie Ford a hit that he will do anything. This man's got no morals at all, obviously. I mean, he's a cutthroat. And he signed up Frankie Ford, you see, when he saw him singing in a New Orleans nightclub, and he wanted him to have a hit record, and he wanted to get him on his books. So he signed him, and they put a record out called Cheatin' Woman, which was okay, it did so-so. A regional hit, if you like, but he wanted the big one. So what he did while Huey was away, the guy that wrote the song, he's away on tour, he wipes the vocal off of Huey, because he thought it was too bluesy. And he says, I've got this new guy, Frankie Ford, he's going to sing on it. So he goes in there and he gets him to do the lead vocal. And then they rewrite half of the lyrics and everything on this guy's masterpiece. And he has no idea, they didn't consult him at all. He's away on tour.
This is terrible.
It's shocking stuff. Yeah, what? How could you go? So anyway, and then they get the vocals on, and Frankie's rewritten some of the lyrics. And then they go further, they get a horn section. They get a big horn section in, and which is great. It sounds great. That all that sort of thing, and they put that on. The kitchen sink comes next. They decide, let's have some sound effects on a sea cruise. So they go out and they get foghorns, ship foghorn sounds and bells, clang, clang, ding, ding, fog bells, and they put all these in. Well, Huey Piano Smith comes back off his tour, and they said, here's the news, look, this is the song, we've done what we've done with it. He goes, he's absolutely distraught, and he goes crazy. He's livid. Because he said the worst thing about it was that the bells on the record and the foghorn weren't in the same key as the record, They're all like, all these, they're all in different keys to the music. So he said at least they could have tuned him down to bring him into, So he was absolutely frantic about it. So that was the end of his career with Ace Records, and he went off to Imperial Records. He left them, and I don't blame him. He was really upset. The good thing is they did give him credits on the record for writing the song. It's under Smith.
But they released it.
And of course it went to number one around the world. Yeah. I was in the UK in the freezing cold again, and I can still remember Sea Cruise playing and thinking, wow, I'd like to go on a cruise. And I did. I emigrated to Australia for £10. Oh, these old poms. So I got a Sea Cruise out of it, but it was a smash hit for him, and but Frankie Ford never really did much after that. They carried on releasing records with him, and he didn't have a major hit.
So
after
he's a
that.
one-hit wonder.
He was is the one-hit wonder. One hit. Whereas Huey Piano Smith, he went off to Imperial Records, and he had a sad time because he never really got back on that role that he was on when he was on Ace Records. And if he'd recorded that, I'm sure he would have had a number one himself.
Let's think about that. I wonder whether his version would have been better than the one that finally came out.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it wouldn't have had all the as you say, the whistles and the bells, the bells and whistles, because they weren't on there. And no one had thought of it, but I must give the guy credit, the head of Ace Records. He did say, well, we're going to have a hit somewhere, one way or the other. And he did it, Now, Frankie Ford, how did he get involved in all this? Well, Frankie Ford came along, as I said, he signed him up as a 19-year-old for Ace Records. Now, he was an adopted son of Anne and Frank Gruzzo. So, of course, they turned around and they named their new son, their adopted son, Francis Gruzzo. But Gruzzo is not a rock and roll name. You wouldn't want that on your hit record, would you? So he changed it Ford after the car, to be honest with you. Anyway, he was dancing and singing. They made sure that he had dance lessons, music lessons, piano and everything, and guitar lessons, and singing lessons. And he did all these things, and he ended up, on stage at 5 years old, doing his little dance routines and things. So he was destined to go into showbiz. And he's been there ever since. I mean, he's 75 years old now. And he's still rocking and rolling, and he's still out there cashing in on Sea Cruise. It's his thing, it's just everybody goes to hear him sing that song. He plays a real honky-tonk piano, fantastic piano.
It's a good dance song, isn't it?
That's the good thing. I do it in my show, Sea Cruise, and I'm definitely doing it now that we are on a sea cruise. So.
Now, Shane, can you guarantee that you'll behave yourself on this cruise?
I have to, otherwise they'll throw me overboard. They've already told me that. I'll be here with my water wings and my little hat on.
So I can surmise, Shane, that next year you won't be jumping overboard, you'll be having a wonderful cruise.
I'm always overboard. You know that.
So I can surmise, Shane, that this week's Song of the Week has got to be...
It's got to be from 1960, Sea Cruise by Frankie Ford.
Love it, Shane. Sea cruising.
Yeah, great track. Yeah, Frankie Ford. Now, Frankie Ford, he went back to Ace Records again.
Oh, did he?
He had no morals either. He went back there, and he actually made a record there, an album in 1995, and it was called Lonely and Hot. Ooh. Now, I know you'd think you'd know a lot about that, Gerard, Lonely and Hot.
You've taught me everything I know about being lonely and hot.
You're looking lonely and hot now. Anyway, that was the title, and it did quite well for him, and he's still selling records by the bucket loads around Louisiana and that area. Yeah. And did you know? I didn't have the slightest idea. There is a Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and he was made the king of the Mardi Gras in 2009. Now, they only give this honour to someone that's done a lot for New Orleans in the arts, like a musician or a singer, entertainer.
Frankie Ford, we salute you.
So, yeah, we salute you, Frankie Ford. You've hung in there. Yeah. But he's a great act. I'd love to see him come over here, actually, and I'm sure everyone would love to go and see him because he plays the honky-tonk piano fantastic, and he really rocks, and he's still looking great.
And Shane...
Look at $1 million.
Shane, sterling job, old sausage.
There's that sausage again. You keep bringing that sausage up.
Shane, I can only say one more time. Shane, you've done it again.